We made the decision that Matt was going to sit with me for the last part of the show because we've grown very close over the years, and he's the longest-term producer we've ever had.
My God, 13 years.
13 years.
13-plus years. It's just unbelievable how quick it flew by.
And did you enjoy it?
I did. No, absolutely. I mean, it was, back in my late 20s when I went back to school for radio, and then I ended up being an intern. So I interned for Murph and Fred, and then I interned for you and Dan. And so I've been a part of your show since 2001.
Yep.
And then became the executive producer in August of 2003. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't be happier with my decision to go back to school for radio. I did a little bit in high school, did a little bit in college, and never really thought you could do it for a career. Even though I was listening to the Score, that's how dumb I was. I'm actually listening to an all sports talk radio station and never thought you could have a career in radio. Right, that's I'm dumb. And then to be a part of it was great. To be a fan and to be a listener and then to be a part of it was really outstanding.
And we gave you the treatment after the intern. We gave you the.
You did.
Okay.
You know what? It was
You
weird
got that,
because
didn't
I asked for it more than once. I mean, that was weird.
I'm
and
sorry.
you were happy to oblige. It was so. I mean, I don't know what your
We've
deal
been through
was,
so many interns. I just didn't have time.
That was cool.
We couldn't do it anymore. We just couldn't do it.
Can we say cornhole on the air? Is that okay? Cornhole is fine, right?
No,
it's not.
No,
you would cornhole all the interns on their last day. It was really bizarre. There was that game of Bagos, but it was
very
not what I ever saw.
But very enjoyable. But I don't think you can say that on the air. Mitch says no. Mitch is looking it up. He's got a CBS handbook out. Can we say that? Maybe not.
Before we get to our conversation, let me take care of some business here. Today's Toast to Terry is presented in part by your Chicago, Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers, home of America's best warranty, and we do love Hyundai. And great wines that cover all the bases. Pick up a bottle of Chicago Cubs Red or Cubs Sparkling at your local retailer or visit MLB.com/wine for details. There are 3 bottles over there, and I can promise you when I leave, there will only be 2 left of the Cubs wine. So, Terry, our relationship was cemented the night we went out in Mokina.
That's true.
Peach was gone. I don't know where Peach went. You were gone, though, Peach.
Yeah, she was gone.
You were gone, and I came down to Mokina, and I hung out with Terry for a night. And we went to a little Mexican joint. We had dinner at the bar, and then we went out drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I remember, yes.
And so Terry and I, we were feeling pretty good by the time we got to the second location. And you remember there was 2 college-age girls that were at the table next to us.
Mm-hmm.
And there was these 2 really awful dudes that were talking to these girls.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking to Terry, and they're behind me, and Terry's looking over my shoulder, watching what was taking place between these 2 guys and these 2 girls who were just there to have a good night and enjoy each other's company, and these guys were being very obnoxious. And Terry, I saw to a point where Terry, he was basically ignoring what I was saying, looking over my shoulder. He got up from the table, and he walked over, and he goes, "You guys need to walk away now from this table. You need to go." And I'm like, we're going to end up into a fight. Terry's not going to fight, though. And I'm going to end up getting my ass kicked by these 2 guys at a bar because Terry's had enough of the way these guys were talking to these girls. And he looked at the one guy, he goes, "Listen, if you're going to talk to a young lady at an establishment, why would you wear a Baltimore Ravens football jersey out?" He's like, "Make yourself look appropriate. If you're going to walk up and talk to someone."
I really drink too much sometimes, don't I?
No, you really did.
Oh, boy.
So I went from oh my God, we're going to get into a fight to Terry is going to embarrass this 20-something-year-old guy for wearing a football jersey at a bar to talk to a girl. They ended up, we're really sorry. We apologize for bothering you, sir. We apologize for ruining your night. We're gonna go now. And that was, and then we ended up, we went back to your house and things happened, and I woke up on the couch. And
you woke up on the couch, and I go down, and you're gone.
I was, I
don't know where the hell you went that early in the
3 in the
morning.
afternoon. I couldn't wait any longer.
Yeah, there you were. You had the entire basement to yourself, the entire living room to yourself, and you were gone.
Well, I couldn't turn your TV off. You had that giant remote, and I had no idea. It was from the little guys. I had no idea how to turn it off, and it was just on my.
It was like Wex.
Right. It was it looked like a laptop, and it was 75 pounds, and I was like, I couldn't. All I could do was turn the volume up. There was no volume down, so I'm like, whatever. I left it on my chest. I fell asleep with the TV on. I got up. I looked in your room. You were passed out. I said, I got to go.
I was passed out.
I'm not even sure how I got home.
They were, and those people were NASCAR fans, if you recall. They weren't talking about the NASCAR race because they were at Joliet. It was NASCAR.
You were a NASCAR fan yourself, so.
Yeah, but I wasn't. Well, I was too drunk. If I said that, on your behalf, you fight him. because I'm not
did.
fighting you. Yeah,
Right.
I know.
But I know it was me bad, but they ended up understanding who you were as a person and respecting you, and they walked away thankfully without any kind of fight. But the years we've spent together, our relationship was actually it's like no other in my life. I mean, you've worn many hats in my life, from one of my best friends to a brother to an uncle to a father figure, to a guy who has bailed me out of trouble. So you've been there for the last 13 years, more than just as a guy who produces your radio show. So I've been pretty fortunate. You ask if I liked what I did and been happy, with my decision. I've been able to meet some of my best friends in doing this show, and that's pretty lucky.
Yep.
Like you meet people you work with, and you're lucky if you meet a good friend or a guy you can hang out with at least. But I mean, you can talk about me and Jason, man. The stuff that I've gone through with Jason. There was a time where we had like barely $10 or $15 between us, and one of us would need like $15. We would put our account in like the negative just to give the other guy $20, for whatever the reason was, and there wasn't even no questions asked. You have that, and that's like a lifelong friendship. Tannehill's one of the best friends I've ever had. Just being able to sit next to a guy that you can talk to openly without any kind of judgment. But the beauty of it is I've had that with you since day one, for 13 years. And it's weird because you look at it and go, well, the age difference and the lifestyle difference and where you're at, it doesn't matter. I mean, you've been one of my best friends my whole life.
I think there's a, I don't allow people into my life real easily.
No, you don't.
I don't. I try at times to keep people out because I learned a lesson a long time ago about this. I told you the story why I don't let people in my life.
Did.
And
that was our night at the Mexican joint, sitting at the bar, and you opened up about it, and it meant a lot to me that you were A, comfortable enough to talk to me, and B, that you were able to share it. It showed me what you thought of me, and I needed it. The other guys earlier were talking about, oh, you get in this business because you're insecure. I'm not insecure. I'm like the opposite. I'm a real a-hole, and I know. I'm not insecure. I'm like the fault the other way, and I have my own growth to go through in life. But you showing that to me and sharing that with me, it meant a lot to me because I've never been very good at relationships or keeping people close. I've always kept people at arm's distance because I was always afraid of being real with people. And that night at that bar, when you opened up like that, it blew me away, and it made me comfortable to talk to you.
Yeah, it's funny because it happened so long ago, but it stays with you. So I have been, I don't want to say standoffish, but I haven't allowed a lot of people in my life. I mean, to a certain point, maybe I do have. It is not like I don't have friends. I have friends if I want. There's plenty of them. Many of them are here, but I don't. It's something I just, my first job, I'll tell the story because people wonder, what the hell is he talking about? My first job was at the Lansing Sun-Journal, the Sun-Journal newspapers. So I come out of school, I go to this place, and I'm immediately befriended by a guy named Randy Hellman, who is a terrific guy. He's 23 years old, and he's just fun. You know what I mean? He's just fun. We had a great time, spent a lot of time together. And I was only there 15 months. So but our friendship grew. We spent all of our time together. And just before I left, I can't remember if it was just before I left or a month after he died. And I had a very difficult time because I'd been, my family had been visited by death so many times in that time frame. And then to have that happen to him, I just, we had a new baby. Wife. I mean, he had everything going for him. Smart guy, and I didn't deal with it well. I mean, I didn't deal with it well, so I kept people at an arm's distance. No, don't get any closer. So that's what I did. I mean, with you, I felt comfortable enough to tell that story. I had never told that story before. I think people always wonder, what the hell's wrong with him? And it's nothing wrong with me. It's just that I don't trust myself sometimes. I mean, that was a very difficult time for me when I had just come off my mom's death and everything else. And then I get to know him, and we're great friends. And pretty soon he's telling me he's got cancer. And then pretty soon he's telling me it's getting worse. And pretty soon he's not around. He's hospitalized. I just had a very difficult time dealing with that. And look how many years went by between me that happening and me telling the story to you. That's a long time to sit on something, and I probably shouldn't have, but I did. I did sit on that story, and I it's probably no good reason for it. I mean, it's probably not a smart thing to do, you know. But it was such a difficult funeral too, because his dad was great. His dad was for those old timers. I don't know how many old timers are here. His dad played on the 1939 Thornton State Championship basketball team. They were called the Flying Clouds. They were nicknamed that, and he was just a terrific guy, you know. And his wife was terrific. It was like one of the most difficult days I've ever had was to deal with all this, and then try to doing a career and everything else because I had left the paper, and new job. And it was very difficult for me. So somehow in the middle of all this, I made this decision. I wasn't going to allow people to get close. I mean, I had my lifelong friends who were still around. We still played ball together. We did everything together. But I did not allow anybody new into the party. You were the first one I really allowed into the party that I remember that, you know, most of mine knew my entire life. The guys I played ball with, they're still there. The guys I played basketball with, they're still there. So, I mean, there's a bond there that we'll always have. But our bond is different because when I made the decision to let you in, it was a really difficult decision. I mean, I didn't know what to say. I just wanted to let you know that I haven't had much luck with friends. You know, I mean, we could have it in a business relationship, but in terms of being with, very difficult. It was a very difficult time for me. And I never allowed anybody at the another paper or anything get close. I had friends, but I never allowed them in. I had a ton of people. We'd go out, and when I was in Detroit, we'd go out at break time at the Free Press and get drunk, and then come back and edit copy. It was ridiculous. I would. I mean, it was a 3-hour break between the Metro edition or the State edition and the Metro edition. So we would be out 3 hours playing pinball, drinking. I didn't know what I was reading. I was put together a score, and I'm just like, it was just awful. I mean, I was just awful some nights. And I finally made a decision. I told my buddy, I said, we got to stop drinking, don't we? He said, no. I said, yeah, I think we do. I mean, because I don't know how many mistakes I made if I missed something, you know, editing, putting these things together. But I felt bad about it. I felt like, oh, my God, you're out drunk every night, but you got 3 hours to kill. What am I going to do in Detroit for 3 hours? What am I going to do? Drink. So we went on and played pinball and drank. And I'm just...
Pinball.
Yeah.
There's like your grandsons are like, pinball? What's pinball?
Oh, you know, and I'm there and I'm looking at copy. Oh, okay, let's see. They win 5-2. Well, what's that? Was that an error? I don't know. Is that a home run? I don't know. I mean, I am amazed that, and nobody ever said anything to me.
Well, it clearly didn't. It clearly didn't impact you negatively for your career.
No, it did not. It just was like, but I did stop drinking. I did stop that part of me, and I would sober up by the time the Metro edition was gone. You know, I'd be fine again. I'd have everything done because it was like midnight by that time, so I'd be sober again. But it was, you know, not every night, but some nights you just felt stupid, so you went out and started drinking. But I never was on a job where we took a 3-hour break. I never had that job.
I did that at the Score when I produced the Boers and Bernstein show. I would take a 3-hour break from like 2 to 5. It was great.
I get that.
And I would drink there too as well. One of my favorite memories of working with you was when we hosted. Dan was off, and we did the show in West Dundee. And we were outside on their sand volleyball court.
Oh, I remember, yeah.
And you had the novel idea of we should start drinking from the start of the show all the way through. And we had a limo. Mitch had a car picking you up, taking you to Stretch Run.
Right.
Here at, it was like, what was it? It was LaSalle in Ohio, for an appearance. And so we're in the car together, and remember they gave us the Tommy Bahama shirts, and we had matching shirts on in the car. And then we get out of the limo at Stretch Run, and there was that couple from Alabama that stopped us, and they asked if we were part of a country western band. And Terry said no, and then the guy was like, "Are you guys brothers?"
And I think I said yes. I find that we were also, that was sweaty. We were having trouble.
God, yeah.
Oh my God, it was like a wringing wet because it was like 95 degrees that day, and we're sitting out there.
You drank like 37 Jack and Diets.
Yeah, well, that's all right. Mitch didn't know. I don't think the show sounded bad.
He must have not listened that day because it was impossible not to know. And it was bad, but the appearance was great at Stretch Run. I'm sure they loved all the money they spent to have you come there after drinking 5 hours straight. But
I mean, I've had my adventures, and I also have been very true to this too. So I think there's a, sometimes you do things and you go, what are you doing? But that was one of those days where, well, what am I doing? I'm sweating like a pig, and it just. We put the shirts on because you couldn't wear the shirts we had on to start with.
Right.
They're so awful. They're so sweaty. I couldn't wear it anymore. So we slapped that on, and we go to the appearance with looking like a couple idiots, really, when you think about it. Yeah, pretty much.
More than normal. Yeah. But I can't even put into words what you've meant to me in my life, and just the advice I've gotten from you in life and the help that I've gotten from you, more than just a work relationship. You've become one of my best friends ever, and a guy that I can trust 100%, which has been very hard for me to be able to do that and open up and trust someone 100%. And that's you. So it's not going to be the same. And I look at this as my final act as the executive producer of Boers and Bernstein, and it was a great run. And it wouldn't have been even close to the same without getting to know you as a. Not as a coworker. That's not even what I look at you at. You're a friend and a lifelong friend in your family. So, and to Peach, she knows all the help you've been to me and what you've been to me as a person in my life. So, as great of a day as this is, it's an awful day for me too. So
I understand that. Yeah, it's I appreciate the friendship over the years too, and I think there's a certain advantage to really liking the people you work with.
Yeah,
there's a certain advantage. There's something really good about that. I mean, you don't have to love them, but you certainly have to like them and respect them, and that was easy with you because I know how hard you worked at this.
See, that's what's special about you because it's not very easy to like me and love me. So that's
I know. I know.
It says a lot about you as a person. So,
I know that.
We need to take a quick break, and then you're going to finish things up here after a brief timeout. Mm-hmm. And I love you, pal, and I'm gonna miss you. And like coming to work is, if I don't show up Monday, Mitch, don't be surprised. And knowing that Terry's not here, so I'm giving you a fair warning. I love you, pal, and. I hope you enjoyed today. It was all about you and all for you. And, I know what your mindset is, and I hope you realize how important you are, not only to Chicago radio, but to the number of people that have gone through the hallways and the Score and the different buildings over the last 25 years. I mean, you are the Score. I mean, you're it, man. You're the face, you're the heart, you're the soul of the Score, and we love you. So, Terry Boers, everybody. You're listening to a toast to Terry here on Sports Radio 670 The Score. All right, I'm gonna close out for you. Then you can wrap things up, pal.
All right.
Help you out here with all the thank yous because there are so many. From Ron Gleason, Harvey Wells, Jeff Schwartz, David Schuster, Brian Hanley, Mike North, Chris Ranji, Dan McNeil, Dan Jiggets, Tom Scher, Joe Bartosh, John McDonough from the Chicago Blackhawks, Lynn Bramer from XRT, George Offman, Fred Mitchell, Moon Mullen, Brendan McCaffrey, Seth Mason, John Howell, Dave Kerner, Mike Downey, Mitch Rosen, Jason Goff, Judd Surratt, Chris Tannehill, Dan Zampillo, Mike Greenberg, John Suntress, Jonathan Hood, Jesse Rogers, Mark Grody, Dan Bernstein, Matt Fishman, Lawrence Holmes, oh man, one of my favorite guys in the world, Rod Zimmerman, and of course all of you for being here with us today. We also want to thank MLB.com/wine for some great opportunities to purchase Cubs Red or Cubs Sparkling. Our great friends at Chicago Northwest Indiana Hyundai dealers. Also, Pearl Mortgage and our guy David Hochberg. Rub, Real Urban Barbecue, the absolute best in the business, realurbanbbq.com. And our friends over at Hub 51, Jared and RJ Melman. Hub 51, eat here, drink here. That's Hub 51. Terry, the rest is you, my friend. I love you. Also want to thank our guy on the web, Cody Westerland, who's done so much to help you out through your time at the Score, was outstanding today. Brian Gertz, who took care of the video stream at the Score's Facebook page. Thank you, Brian, so much. Normally part of the midday show and helped out today. Thank you so much, Brian. You do a great job. And Alexis DiGiulio from Promotions, who really had a great hand in helping everything out today, from the decorations to the items that we're giving away to just being a great part of today. Thanks to 670 The Score, 670thescore.com, and of course, again, the 670 The Score's Facebook page. Terry Boers, one last time.
For the last 25 years, I have been granted the chance of a lifetime, the chance to be part of a score family that has grew up and changed, like every family does. We were once thought of as kind of a band of misfits, no goods, guys who didn't fit in where they were. Some guys didn't even know who they were. Just a passing fad, they said, especially after early numbers reflected that not many people in this entire city gave a damn about it. But those early critics were really wrong. I mean, really, really wrong. This station has become part of our culture, an important part of a vibrant sports town that continues to be exactly that, even as the Bears fizzle and the Bulls and White Sox tread water. But what about those Cubs right here on 670 The Score? It has been my distinct honor to be around for this transformation, so I thank you one last time for allowing me this opportunity. I also want to acknowledge the tremendous talents of the two guys I've worked with, Dan McNeil and Dan Bernstein. Polar opposites indeed, but amazingly gifted at this job. You've also heard a lot this afternoon from other people who worked tirelessly to make all of this sound good. Tough to do, but they all did it. Who invested their blood and sweat and tears, as I point out, for not much money. You didn't make a lot of money doing this job, but they all worked hard. They really cared about what this thing sounded like. To them, they have my eternal respect and gratitude and love. And that leaves me just one now, my wife. Perhaps you know her as Peach. As a teenager, I didn't make many good decisions. I made a lot of bad decisions, awful decisions, really. But the one I made 45 years and 11 months ago is still going strong. Over the years, a lot of times that she was left with the task of raising the kids. I was gone doing something with the Sun-Times or whatever. I traveled pretty extensively in the 80s. But she was always there. And now she's left with a broken down me, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Everyone who knows her adores her. I have been blessed for a long time, and I hope it continues. I have closed out the number of these shows with Dan saying that everybody have a great night and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Well, I won't be talking to you tomorrow. I won't be talking to you again until the day arrives when you can look at that book at a Barnes & Noble somewhere or online and see a book, because that book will come. I will get that book done. So from the bottom of my heart, I say to everybody here and everybody listening, thanks for the memories.